Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about how to systematize a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, and implement processes and procedures for businesses so they can grow and scale. And before I will introduce today's guest, I want to give a big shout out to the person who introduced us, which is Eric Albertson. And thank you, Eric, for introducing me to this amazing guest that I'm going to introduce right now. And the guest is Dr. Pascal Nguyen. Hi, Pascal.
Hi, Adi. How are you?
I'm doing well. And I'm so excited to have you on the podcast because, Pascal, we met several years ago and you were a client, you are a good friend, you are an amazing entrepreneur. You know, I'm gonna read some of the things. So you are a biological medical dentist, which we are going to talk about what that means. You are a certified naturopathic doctor, right? So not only are you a dentist, you're also a certified naturopathic doctor. You are an entrepreneur at heart. You know, you are a very successful business person. So you combine your medical, scientific mind with also your entrepreneurship and your business acumen and being able to be a successful entrepreneur. You are a proud father of 4 amazing kids. I know them. They are incredible. And your wife, Jennifer, is amazing. So you are definitely, the family is the heart of your life, right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
They're why I do what I do.
Exactly. Absolutely. And if people need to know, you're originally from Canada, but now you live in Oregon and you have 2 practices. You have 1 medical practice and you have a wellness center located in Oregon, in the Portland metro area. So
that's right.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast and thank you for being a guest.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. So we're going to definitely talk about how you systematize your business and what are the keys to success, to actually being a successful entrepreneur. But before we dive into that, I really want to talk about what does it mean to be a biological medical dentist? What does that mean?
Basically, my approach to dentistry is to heal the mouth, to set the mouth up so that it helps the rest of the body. For example, there are materials that we can put to fix teeth that actually create toxins. And though those fillings are very long lasting, very inexpensive, they do cause harm to the body. And so I'm able to safely remove those. We replace those with material that we can check your body for biocompatibility so that it supports your body instead of making it toxic. I'm very trained to look for infections in ways that most dentists don't look for and to treat them in a safe way so it can promote the healing of the body. For example, there are some instances where you can have an infected tooth and the infection is in your jawbone. And if you look at it with a 2D X-ray, you won't be able to find it, or it's very difficult. I use 3D X-rays and then you can find it. But when you have those infections in your jawbone, even if it doesn't hurt, it's like a little source of bacteria in your system, in your body. And in the old days, like before we had antibiotics, and people would actually potentially die from these things. It's really not good to have. So, we look at things like that. For the functioning, of the head and neck, I am very interested in looking at the things we can do to make sure people can breathe well. Why would a dentist do that? Well, we're allowed to look at, head and neck, not just the mouth. But when I do take those 3D X-rays, we have the ability to see what's inside the nose, the sinus, the mouth, and the back of the mouth. And those are very important parts of the airway, which are nowadays very transformed because we do not eat food like we used to. We used to be hard to chew food, which made our jaws grow. Basically, the result of that is we didn't have crowded teeth. We didn't need braces. Wisdom teeth had room, but mostly there was enough room for the airway in the back of the mouth not to be obstructed. Nowadays, there's a lot of obstructions of the airway. So those are the types of things that I look at that I'm very interested in. So by changing these things in the mouth, I can, for example, we fix the airway so people can breathe better. Well, you'll sleep better, which means you'll recover better, which means you'll think more clearly, which means you'll live longer, things and on and on. So those are the types of things a biological dentist does.
Interesting. So what made you, how did you find out about it? I mean, was that straight out of school, or what was your journey to actually discover that this is the way that you want to practice dentistry?
Right. So I think if I have to identify one time, one moment in time, when I was around 10 years old, I got a very bad asthma attack from allergies to cat. And I basically thought I was going to die because I couldn't breathe. And it just sensitized me to become, careful at that time about how can I be careful with my lungs, which led me to be, don't smoke. And then I just had that mindset, and as I added and learned more things, for example, when I was in dental school, immediately when I saw that to make those silver fillings, we had to mix a little drop of mercury with other metals. I just thought that something was wrong with that. And, I just kind of went learning and pursued it. At that time, when I was in dental school, I was actually ostracized for, not liking those silver fillings. And now, of course, science shows me, well, not just me, but that, shows that was the right thought, that is a toxic material. But it was a gradual process of learning. And as I learned things, I would say that I have an insatiable thirst to just learn everything I can in that vein. And after years of studying these things, I just got to a point where, that's kind of how it is with dentistry,
Right.
So that's how it evolved. Yes.
Good. So you definitely have that personal conviction that that's what works and that pushed you. Yeah. Great.
Yes.
So you also are a naturopathic doctor. So what got you to actually finish that degree or start and finish that degree in the middle, like while you already had a very successful dental practice?
Well, I guess there's two things. One, I'm very competitive. So I wanted to be better than the dentist around me. So I always feel like I have to know more and know everything. As I know I can't know everything, but I do want to know as much as I can. And then the other side is that I did believe that there's some knowledge there that I can impart to my patients. And when you have a visit with me at my dental office, you will invariably figure out some things about your health that you didn't realize. Even though it's dentistry, I will talk about, a lot of things like hormones, like toxins, like fasting, like sleep, airways, allergies, gut health, even meridians and things like that. And these are all things that I learned as part of my naturopathic medical degree.
Interesting. That's great. It's really making everything really holistic for sure.
Correct.
Good. And now you also started a wellness center on top of having the dental practice. So what led you to do that?
Well, that's a good question, Addie. As I learned these things, and then relating to that personal story of mine of having that asthma attack, I always seek to be healthier. There's actually, another part where I feel that I am a little bit subpar, like less than, not as good as others if I'm not at my 100%, which leads me to figure out everything I can to be my 100%. So as I learned some of these tricks to make myself healthier, we call biohacks, I incorporated that into my life. So, I have in my house oxygen therapy, electromagnetic field therapy, red light therapy, thermal therapy, i.e. sauna and cold temperature therapy, ozone therapy. I just was doing all these things at home for myself, which, my wife started to do. Now my wife is a biohacker with her own, biohacking website and brand, and she's doing way better than me. She's using that for beauty. So people that want
but you're so competitive, you're probably going to somehow figure out how to do better, how to be better.
I'm going to continue to do better, but I think my wife is more talented than me at these like social media and connecting with people thing. I think she's going to pass me.
Well, Jennifer is awesome. So what's her website so the listeners can go and listen and look at it?
Right. So right now, if you look for her on Instagram, you look at Biohacking Jen. She's rebranding her image, and I don't know yet. Like, she's actually on the phone right now with the branding company to set the next things up. But you can still find her as Biohacking Jen on Instagram, and a little plug in for my wife. But she has fantastic information for, like, if you want to know some products you shouldn't have in your house because they're toxic, or the good ones, let's say to clean your face. My wife has like amazing looking skin, and she's vetted.
I can attest to it.
Thank you, Addie. She's vetted all these companies and tested these things, and her beauty regimen is nothing crazy, but let me tell you, it works. So those are some of the things she does, yeah.
Right. Okay, good. So that's the story of the entrepreneurship in terms of the different practices and the different businesses, which is absolutely amazing. So now let's talk about the journey of systematizing, because I think that helped you a lot in terms of scaling and putting the business, getting the business to where it's at.
Right. So, I mean, you asked me, how I came to open the wellness center. That wellness center is called Evergreen Factor, but I wanted to have other people experience what I experienced. I mean, if you ask people that know me for a long time, I look younger, I lost weight, I am more fit, I feel better, I think better, I sleep better, and I'm set. I want to live 140, and I think I can. But the point is, I wanted to spread that to people. I think there's a subset of people that are very interested in feeling good, like, why are we working so hard? You want to enjoy life, feel good. And there are really a lot of tangible, scientifically proven things you can do to make that difference. Mm-hmm. So we opened that wellness center to deliver that. But in the realm of what you're talking about, systematizing and, putting protocols, like, for me, it's not just about opening the business. For me, it was, we're setting this business up so we can scale it, so we can really make people all over the US, if not the world, profit from the knowledge that we've vetted to make people healthier. And in order to do that, Like, I really believe that, like you're talking about Eric Albertson, when I had hired Eric, we bought our dental practice, and it was very important to me to do things with the end in mind. That meaning, I have a vision, I have a mission, and then I hired Eric, my wife and I, to clarify how all this was going to work. Even though we were in debt at that time, like we didn't really know how we had to load up the credit cards to hire him. This was a lot of money for a business that did not open its doors yet. And we planned everything, again, with the end in mind. Like, I knew up front that for the dental practice, the vision was to help people with their health through the mouth, to deliver an amazing experience, and to use technology. And once we knew that, then everything kind of evolved from there. All the decisions we made were coming from that. And because of my entrepreneurial mindset, the dental office was the same as the wellness center. My idea was, we're going to systematize everything so that when it's a big success, we can bring more doctors in and also open up more of them. In other words, scale it. But you can't scale, without systems and protocol. Like in dentistry, it's very easy to hang up like the shingles and, doctor, tooth, and people come in, and the dentist with the license can have a relative amount of success because they have a license, because this is a business that people know, and it's a proven model. People can come in and it works. The problem is with the dentist, depending on their mindset, their vision, their entrepreneurial mindset, you can only get so big. You won't be able to scale beyond your circle of influence, beyond what you can teach and how you can influence people, unless you have those systems and protocols and also the culture.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's a combination of both. So let's talk about systems. So we started working together because you wanted to systematize the business, right? You wanted to have well-documented processes and procedures. Yes. So you can train staff, you can onboard, you can have consistency. But I love to hear in your own words, like, why processes and procedures were so important to you.
Right. So at the time, I didn't know the extent of how specialized the treatments that we do are, and therefore I didn't know the impact that it was going to have on training staff, even hiring staff and things like that. Meaning, when you get a new staff member, you have training to do, and you could just go and show people, but even if you just show and tell people, like, some things get lost in translation, and really you have to do it all. And like, I'm super busy, I don't have time to do all of that. Not that I don't do some of it, but like, really, when you have the systems and the protocols, so we still use, what you recommended, which is a suite process, where, you had helped us and we went through pretty much all the procedures. We have new procedures now, but how things are done, what things we do, what we need. And so when someone comes in or someone forgot, they can go back to suite process, look up a certain procedure, and with the videos, picture, and the flow charts of how things work, things are explained. Like, they can get a very, very solid idea of what they need to know to do that procedure. And that creates consistency. So we're all on the same page. It frees me from like having to train everybody one-on-one all the time. And really, like, my mind is constantly learning. There's always new things. And sometimes you forget, some of the things that are mundane. And those details are all in the protocols. But when people can go over that without me being there, it frees me to do other things, and it makes sure that the things that are learned and done are done the way I want to over and over. And then, we can have more people, like, the website could be opened by 100 people or 2 people. Like, doesn't take any more of my time.
Right.
So
it makes it not owner dependent, really, because then you can actually have more time to do other things, right? So if you would have to summarize it, like in terms of, because you had those processes and procedures, what did it allow you to do as an owner, as an entrepreneur? Like, what freedoms did you gain as a result of that?
The first thing that comes to mind is peace of mind that things will be done my way, or the way they need to be done. The second thing is, I know that it frees me from, the time commitment with whoever needs to see that information. And then with the entrepreneurial mindset, I know that this information will be there for many people to use it. So we spend a bit more time up front creating that information, going over the systems protocol, every single steps of all the procedure, blah, blah, blah. But after that, you gain a tremendous amount of time and freedom, like a lot.
That's awesome. That's really great, Pascal. And what was the reaction of the staff when, like a new staff member, when you hire them and they saw that you have those procedures in place? What is their usual reaction?
I think most of them are surprised that we have that. Usually dentists, dental office are considered like mom pop type place, and you just kind of, so, that's pretty, like our onboarding process is pretty, it's a pretty involved protocol. We really take care of all the little things we can take of to make sure that, someone new coming in realizes when they come in that, like, yeah, we take you seriously. What you're doing, we know is like a serious thing, and this is how, we expect you to do it or learn it. And usually, I haven't heard like a direct comment, like, but we've just created this culture that now our staff is looking, and finding people to come and work with us, because the work environment, is good. And a big chunk of that is because the systems and protocols are in place.
That's great. What is your advice to other entrepreneurs if they're thinking, well, okay, let's say I document my systems. How do I actually able to get it implemented and followed by all? I know we worked on it, but what would you say, like, what is the key to your success to making sure that it's being implemented by all or followed by all?
The culture, meaning, whether you like it or not, there's a culture in there's a way, meaning there's a way you do things in your business. If you do nothing, that is the culture. If you do things by the book, or if you do things and you stay on it, that's how you do things. And as I talked about at the beginning, before we got on, you asked me about one of my idols or a book, that I can, like to talk about. That would be Simon Sinek would be one of them. And his book is Why, very simply, Why. And he's got more than one book, but why do we do things? There's how, there's what you do, but there's why. So when you know why you do something, then you can keep doing it. If you're just working on what you're doing, you'll forget the other things. If you just, what you do, well, that's okay. But like when something gets hard, it's hard to go back to, to do it. It's just like the motivation is about when you know why you're doing something, and you cultivate that, and everybody knows that. Like if you go to my office and you ask my staff, they should know our 3 differentiating factors. And those are healing the body through the mouth, having an amazing experience for the patients, and using, technology. And then we have agreements on how we put that in place. And part of that is the protocols. So one way I would say that is make sure you know why you're doing things. And the other, try to involve your team, your current team, by having them kind of admit the importance of the protocols and system, or them being involved in what's important about the systems and protocols. And then they will help support you and run it. And, if you keep your big why at the top and just repeat that until it becomes a culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. You said it perfectly. That's exactly right. And it does reflect on your patients too. I mean, I'm sure they feel it as well. They feel the atmosphere, they feel the culture, they feel the entire, environment in the office, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, right? And the thing is, you can show people how to do something once, or tell them how you want things done here and there, but things happen, like S happens, like sometimes like S hits the fan, or, I don't know, like things change, somebody forgot. But when you have the culture, and when people are very clear on why we're doing the business, what makes us different, then you can always fall back on that. And, for us, even like, why we hire, how we hire, God forbid we have to fire, but it becomes clear when you're using those kind of values and the culture, that, why you keep or hire people, how you buy things, and how you support, again, the systems and protocols, like it's part of how we want to deliver our dentistry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it definitely reflects, and that's definitely a key to your success, and I've seen it. So if our listeners would like to find out more about you, your practices, so what's the best way to contact you?
They can go to our website. Our website is www.pjndental.com. Everything is on the website. Our phone number, emails to contact me or the office. I also have a social media presence. If people are interested in holistic dentistry or just whole body health through the mouth, I'll answer questions about what you can do, in the mouth, and how you can do it safely and things like that. So we have a lot of things, content on Instagram. Again, Dr. Pascal Nguyen, Nguyen. You can find me on Instagram. I do have Instagram Live every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is pretty popular. And of course, my podcast. We had a wonderful guest last week with you, but we have some interesting topics, more health related, but yes.
Absolutely. And we'll include all of that in our show notes so people can actually find you and follow you.
Thank you.
So Pascal, in closing, I like to ask the question about what inspires you. Like, you can tell me about a book, about a mentor, about a podcast that you follow. Like, what is your inspiration?
I think the 2 biggest topics for me are entrepreneurship and health. So the health, you ask me about authors, but there's a lot. I listen to books a lot in my Audible library has 1,600 books.
Wow.
So there's a lot of authors. It's hard to pinpoint it. If I could say a couple of authors that really have impacted me, I really like David Sinclair. He's the author of Lifespan, but David Sinclair is an authority on aging, or more precisely, longevity, increasing your lifespan. He considers aging a disease, and if you cure the disease, you can cure aging. So this Harvard professor is the really fantastic inspiration. There's for the business part, I really like I said earlier, Simon Sinek, who wrote the book Why. Really clarified for me some things about how successful business keep their cultures, by having the important points at the forefront. And then there is an author called Ari Whitten who does a lot of health work on mitochondria. I don't, maybe some of you know, but some of you don't know what the mitochondria is. Our body is composed of systems like respiratory, circulatory, skin, muscle, whatever. Those systems are composed of organs. So, for example, heart is an organ, part of the circulatory systems, but those organs are composed of cells. They're the building blocks of the body. But those building blocks, the cells, are powered by an organ. We call an organ, I would call the mitochondria. You can think of the mitochondria as an energy power plant for a city. And if you take care of that energy power plant, everybody has energy. And it's the same thing in your body. And a lot of the biohacks that we utilize kind of aim at making those organelles healthy, at making them function well, at making them multiply. And Ari Whitten is the author of his last book is called Eat for Energy. And there's some wonderful hacks about what to eat, what not to eat, how to fast, how to sleep, how to follow life cycle, how to get energy from grounding, different things like that, which just adds so much quality to your life. So, big fan.
That's fantastic. Wow. That's been a great interview, Pascal. I really want to thank you for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.